this is a movie that I don't see a lot of people talk about. It's one of those movies that most people would call elevated horror. I don't really know what I feel about that name. It seems to be given to movies that have a bit of a more in-depth theme, and things presented in the movie representing something totally different. I would just say they are movies with multiple plot lines. There is the literal storyline that you see and hear during the movie, and then there is the more ambiguous side to all the things you have seen and heard. Saint Maud from 2019 belongs to the latter group. It is a British horror movie written and directed by Rose Glass in her directorial debut. On the surface, the story is quite simple. It's about a religious private carer who becomes obsessed with saving one of her patients' soul. The carer's name is Maud. At least that's the name she gave herself. Her actual name is Katie, but she prefers to be called Maud. It is not specifically stated in the movie, but after a traumatic event, she turns to religion and changes her name. Instead of working at the hospital where she used to work, she's now working as a carer. And the movie is totally from Maud's perspective. We get glimpses of things that happen, but not in full context though. We just see things unravel from Maud's perspective. And you do almost immediately get the sense that this is an unreliable story. It's told from an unreliable character. Because as we get to know Maud, we get to know that she's kind of extreme. It first starts off with just odd behavior, but then it quickly escalates. When we get to know Maud, we see that she is very extremely religious. And when her patient Amanda, that suffers from stage 4 lymphoma, confesses that she is bitter about her state and is very afraid of dying. Because we just cease to exist, there's nothing left afterwards. Maud takes that as a task from God to save the atheist Amanda's soul. So this is not really a jump scare horror movie at all. It's very much so slow and methodical in its approach, and it very much so relies a lot on Morphet Clark as Maud. The movie uses a lot of religious imagery to bring home its themes. And you're really not sure about when Maud starts hearing voices, if it's real or not. In her head, she kind of has a very special relationship with God. She hears God when she's alone at her apartment. But from how the movie is shot and directed, it's all a subjective point of view. Because she only hears these voices when she's alone. Also, all the more supernatural aspects of this movie, they tend to happen when she's alone. And I did mention the flashbacks before, and I think they are very important to this movie. We get to know that something traumatic happened, but we don't get to see what exactly happened. All we know is that she was involved in some way. We don't get much details about what exactly happened. But we do get hints, and we get to know that she was fired. And the colleagues she meets in the movie, they are all awkward towards her and with her. How I interpret it is that she got some kind of psychotic break after the traumatic incident at the hospital where she was working. And now she's asking for some kind of forgiveness from God. Whatever traumatic event happened at the hospital for her, it caused her to lose contact with reality. And she turned deeper and deeper into religion, but in her own more extreme way. So everything supernatural that occurs in the movie is kind of what she sees. It's not really actually happening. So there's no actual monster in the movie, no physical monster at all. At least not a demonic one or supernatural one. You could say that Maud herself is the monster of the movie. Not an intentional one, but she's lost so much contact with the reality that she doesn't really know what she is doing. She kind of sees everything in a very extreme religious way. In that perspective where she sees everything that is against what she believes is a sin. But not only that, she's actually insane. And it's actually horrific to see from scene to scene. This is a very unsettling movie. It is actually more scary than something that goes bump in the night, because it's about the human condition. The movie is more in the style of the Babadook or Ari Aster's movies. It plays more on emotions than fake jump scares. And I think a movie that can play with your emotions is a bit more scary than your average horror movie. And there's nothing wrong with a more simple story, a simple slasher. I love slashers. And that's not to say that slashers are all simple. Psycho, Scream, Halloween all have more layered narratives to them. Both of those three examples are not just a guy putting on a mask and killing people. Like Saint Maud isn't just a demonic possession movie. It has more to it than on the surface. And those kind of movies are the most rewarding to watch, because there is a lot more to discuss about them than just the on the surface story. And Saint Maud really delves into that. It has a lot to say about trauma, it has a lot to say about the person that has lost touch with reality because of her trauma. And it has a lot to say about that person being very prejudiced against other people that don't believe the things that she believes. Morfydd Clark plays Maud in a very subdued way, but you can still feel that Maud is unhinged from Morfydd's performance. It's rare in horror that you get to see a performance at this skill level. Morfydd has gone on to play Galadriel in the Lord of the Rings TV show from Amazon Prime, and she is terrific in that role too. The other actors that appear in this movie I have not seen in anything else before, but I gotta go back to the director and writer of this movie, Rose Glass. As I said before, it's her first movie and she really shows promise to what she can do in the future. She is actually coming out with a new movie this year that is called Love Lies Bleeding. But that will be a change of genre for her because that will be a romantic thriller. It will be interesting to see what she can do with a totally different type of a movie. But when it comes to Saint Maud, she really made a really great horror movie. And about my theories earlier that everything in the movie didn't actually happen in the story, it is because of the ending. After killing her patient Amanda, Maud the next morning wanders onto a beach and douses herself with acetone. While people are looking at her, and her last words being "Glory to God," as she self-immolates. In her last moments, angel wings appear upon her, and the people looking at her kneel in awe, as Maud looks up to the sky and glows in grace. But then the scene smash cuts for a split second, and we see the reality of Maud burning alive and screaming with agony. So that is the ending that makes me believe that everything in the movie was from Maud's perspective and nothing really happened. She was just a very sick person. Yeah, it's a quite dark movie, but it's a very well written one and very well directed movie. If you like Hereditary, Midsommar, or any of Ari Aster's movies, you will like this one too. I do very much so recommend it. If you liked this video, please like, share and subscribe. This has been Boogeyman Cinema. Thank you for watching. What did you think about Saint Maud? Please let me know in the comments.